Hey family, this is Mark Moore Jr., the host of the Young Leaders Conference, and I am still declaring that this is still the day that the Lord has made. I don't have to tell you by now, if you have been anywhere in America or in the world, you know that our entire planet is gripped with a global pandemic. The coronavirus has completely dominated the conversation, and I think it's important as a Young Leaders Conference. We have emphasized since day one that we are more than a 3-day gathering once a year, but this is a community, and any community worth its salt must provide resources to bless and impact and edify the members of said community. And so I've got a special guest with me here today. This is who? Tell them who you are.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mateesah.
Dr. Matisa Wilbon. She is a real doctor. I want to make that clear. She did not download her doctorate.
That's right.
But she has earned it the right way. And I wanted to bring her on and wanted to talk to you because you are blessed. Yes, you are a college professor. Mm-hmm. Yes, you are an elder in the Lord's Church, a minister of the gospel. You've been around the world preaching, teaching, ministry, and secular training. But on top of that, and I think one of the things that really brings you the greatest joy is that you are a wife and a mother.
Absolutely,
right?
Yes.
You and my brother Lawrence have been married for how many years now?
Almost 21 years.
Almost 21 years. Wow. And you have how many wonderful children?
I have 2 children. Our son is 12, and then our daughter is 10.
Awesome, awesome. So I think you're the perfect one to talk to about this because you are far more qualified than I. But I do know that there are people in our audience. We have a wide range of people in our demographic, and some of them are married with children. Some of them are parents and maybe single parents, and just all different dynamics. And I want to kind of speak to what we can do from a family perspective in the midst of this coronavirus crisis, this shutdown, this pandemic, this potential quarantine that people around the country and certainly around the world are living through even right now. Let's start here. How do you handle it? For those that are watching, this is a very difficult situation in part because we have no frame of reference.
Sure.
We have heard comparisons to the flu pandemic of 1918, but very few of us were around in 1918 to navigate that and use it as a reference point. And life has changed so much since then that even if we were here or were there then, the situation would be different. In your words, in your wisdom, how do you handle or even approach this coronavirus conversation with your family? You have young children. They're emerging as young adults, but they're still young children right now. How are you handling this coronavirus conversation?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I appreciate this conversation, and I do think it's important. Sometimes I think we forget our children. We think that because they're young that they're not thinking about this, but they've got fears and they've got anxieties as well. So I would really encourage all parents to sit down and have pointed, intentional conversations with their children. Now, obviously, you want to make sure that it's age appropriate. You don't want to, speak to a 5-year-old in the way that you would a teenager, but you want to be able to calm their fears and let them know that things will be okay. For us in our household, we're very up on current events. We talk to our children all the time about things that are going on, but we do limit it. So I would suggest sit down, have an intentional conversation, describe in the best way you can what the virus is and the impact, that you're staying home because there's a pandemic. You don't want others to get it, but don't make that the source of all of your conversations. Once you have it, you can still talk about other things. I think sometimes we talk about this so much that that's why the fears are raised. Have the conversation and then move on.
So you're saying you don't suggest that you allow CNN to be your nightlight in the baby's room through here. That's what you're saying?
Exactly.
Okay, that sounds like good wisdom. Let's keep talking about children for a moment. I know from watching the news that a lot of parents have become homeschool teachers.
Yes.
And I think a lot of parents are saying what the teacher been talking about. Nevertheless, how do you handle that whole homeschool dynamic? You are blessed to be a college professor, but right now you're a homeschool middle school teacher.
That's right.
You and your husband. How does that work? Talk to me about that. How do we handle children right through here?
Right. I think that's another great question. So I will tell you, when I first started this homeschooling thing, I thought, we're going to have the day planned out, have a schedule from the time they woke up, really, until about 3 o'clock when they normally would get home from school. But what I soon realized, and this is what I would suggest for anyone homeschooling should not be exactly as it is in school, right? You've got to create space throughout the day for flexibility. There's got to be time for creativity. So obviously you should have things that you're lining up for them to do in terms of their schoolwork and their assignments, but don't spend the entire day as if they're in school. Do some art projects, go for a walk, do some things that will also create bonds within the family at the same time as you're homeschooling.
Wow. I saw a friend of mine that had children. He said, my kids are not going to learn this new math. I don't know it. He said, they're going to learn the regular math that they would teach them when I grew up. So that's good to know. But all of this at home, we're looking at potential quarantines nationwide. I keep hearing that. I don't know if you have the same cousins that my friends have that keep texting them about all of this is about to happen.
I got that.
You got the same cousins with friends that I see. Okay. But even with the speculation, we have enough fact that we have seen to suggest that this is a very different time.
Right.
People are at home. They're in close quarters.
Yes.
What would you say to the parents, to the spouses that are watching this, on breaking the monotony at the house? Let
me say this. I think you have to make fun. Right. And I mean that from a familiar, family perspective, but also from a couple's perspective. So, think about things that you can do in the house that's creative. Kids like predictability and they like stability, right? That's great. But they also like creativity. So if you're indoors, it's okay if you'd play bubbles or do something that you normally would not do. Maybe it's going to get on the floor, but that's okay. Art projects, as I talked about before, you can go outside for a walk if you've got the social, the distance, appropriate distance. And I would also say this is important. You have to also keep the romance with couples. Let me tell you, couples.
I'm going to let you talk to the people. I'm sitting this one out.
You might be holed up in the house, but you've got to be creative. So put the kids to bed and have a romantic dinner. Have conversations. Hold hands. This, even though it's sort of a new normal, you have to make sure that you're strengthening those bonds. So I would say make fun. Have fun with your kids, but also make sure that you're having couple time as well.
Wow, I love it. I know that you all have been hopefully taking notes throughout this. I'm also hoping that you will share this with the family members that you have, those maybe across the country, parents and couples that need a little help right through here. Like, share, and subscribe. And remember, at the end of the day, we are praying for you. We literally cannot wait to see you again. Take care.
Bye.